It started with games. Simple things. Pixels, buttons, a bit of fun. Then, somewhere along the way, the big platforms moved in. Last year, $200 billion flowed upwards, away from the people who actually play. This year, they take it back. YOM, where players play games straight from your PC, not a data center in Virginia. Meet Tyler Pemberton. Yes, this looks dramatic, but he's perfectly fine. Tyler's offline. His PC isn't. 47 players streaming from his GPU right now. Even AFK, Tyler's rig is pulling its weight. He's making money in his sleep. Maybe this is what happens when gamers finally take control of their own world. Turn your idle GPU into passive income. YOM.net. Eat, sleep, earn, repeat.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the town hall. I'm Jeff Outlaw, the COO of YOM. I was going to be joined by Glory. I'm not sure if he's going to jump in a few seconds or if I'm going to run it solo tonight. I might run it solo. It's okay. It's a lot to go over. We have the big one, right, with the big drop that happened. Walter.gg has gone live. It's obviously very exciting for all of us. Walter GG, I'm going to actually, let me go ahead and bring the site up. That way I'll be talking about it in a way that makes sense to everybody who hasn't gone onto the site yet. So if you haven't gone to the site yet, walter.gg, it's where you want to head off to. It is powered by YOM. This is the first cloud gaming network that's powered by YOM. So what does this mean for everybody? It's immediately a question came up into Reddit. We posted into Reddit, and the thread immediately was like, hey, another cloud gaming service, what makes this different? Well, a lot of reasons for different. And if you haven't really caught on to the YOM story yet, we probably should go some of those details. But the exciting part is that the site is now live and operating. We've got Counter-Strike playable already. We actually have a couple of the games are in testing. I had the good fortune of being part of the testing for Warframe. That was awesome. The game's going to look really, really good once we get it up and running. But there are still some integration problems that we have when we put in a new game onto the service. We want to make sure that we're launching something that's solid and tested. I'll bring that over here closer. But it's fun. I've been playing some of that for a while. So here's the thing, right? Cloud gaming, we've had a lot of fits and starts, and we've had some success stories. You count them as a success, but they're all still success with an asterisk, I guess you'd say. So if you're familiar with the whole history of cloud gaming, Google Stadia was one of the first really big attempts with a big name behind the idea of doing cloud gaming. And if you talk to Google, which we did, about their successes and why they pulled it away, it was not that it never really worked for them. They just said they weren't making as much money as Google is required to make in order to keep a product up and running. So they decided to just kill the project. But it was an early start, and it was worthwhile for them to kind of put the toe in the water and explain to everybody this is where they expected the gaming industry to go. And here we are 5-6 years later after Stadia closed down, and everyone's agreeing that cloud gaming is where everything's going to go. The expense of owning a PC, going out and buying the hardware, building yourself your own rig, it's getting exorbitant, and there's not a lot of people who can do it. On the other side of things, the explosion to people who have access to phones, high powered phones and better transmission lines, better data plans, has made the idea of playing a AAA quality game on the phone much more attractive to a larger group of players. But it is still hampered because every other. So let's go through some of the other ones. You got Amazon's Luna, GeForce Now. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Xbox Game Pass. Those are the other ones that are kind of up and running right now, and they're all using basically the same model. They have a big data center that they're streaming the streams from, which has all kinds of problems. We're going to kind of go through the whole list. Where those folks are all using a centralized database, which has got, you're competing against AI and everything for GPU cycles. We run ours as a decentralized network. We allow people who have a gaming rig at home to, when their gaming rig is not being used, they can earn passive income by donating their GPU cycles to our network. And we use their gaming rigs around the world to connect players to the game that they want to play as a direct link, computer to computer, a secured network. And this does a couple of things, right? We don't have to build. We don't have to pay for it and build a big building. We don't have to air condition, maintain those big buildings. So our costs are much lower, 95% lower for the cost of hosting a game. And then the idea that we're paying people who are operating the network, everyone has a portion of it. So we're not taking all that money and giving it all to Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, right? We're actually taking that money that cloud gaming generates and giving it back to the players. So therefore the players can re-spend that money back into the gaming industry, purchasing more games. So obviously it's a much better loop for the gaming industry, much better loop for the game player, and for people who own a portion of the network by operating a node of their own. So all those things makes us way, way different. But as we launch Walter and watch it grow and start adding more and more games to it, you're going to start seeing more and more attention being paid to Walter. Now, the history of Walter, I'll go through that real quick too. Walter was a mascot that we used for YOM, the technology behind Walter GG. Our decentralized network it was built initially to host games because that is a massive market. We already understood that cloud gaming is all going to go get massive adoption, and right now we're seeing again nearly 50% over 50% of the people who play games are now using some cloud service. So that was a correct call for us to make. But Walter was our mascot, and then we realized, well, Walter's really great for games. I mean, he sells the idea of game concept, but it doesn't necessarily work when we start talking about all the other instances that our network can support, like AI and all these other compute problems at the edge. So we said, let's get Walter his own spotlight. Let's let him take the games and be that gamer that he is and appeal to that gaming audience. So that's why Walter GG was launched as a separate branch off of the YOM, using the YOM technology, but not part of YOM. Now, the first question that was raised right away was, how is this different from, why is this why is the cloud system a better one than you've already seen with some of the ones that have launched prior? And as I say, the idea that for us, it's a lot less expensive, but I kind of actually set some time, thought to myself, or what would make, like, how do we know which system is going to win the market when it's all said and done? Like, what aspects need to happen for the cloud gaming network of the future to, really dominate? And I came up with, and I'm happy, I'm going to open up my chat too, because I want to hear people kind of jump in on these questions. So what were some of the different factors? Who's going to win the cloud gaming market, right? The first thing is you need to have a selection of games. Obviously, gamers need to have access to the best games in order to adopt your network. So when we launched Walter and we integrated the big technology breakthrough that people we've been working on in the background is Steam integration. So now your Steam games that you own, you don't have to load them up at your computer at home. You can just hit through our website and play off the website. So you don't have to have that high-end gaming rig. Yes, you have to have a Steam account, but if you've got the games on Steam, you can play through Walter and not have to have the hardware. So Counter-Strike is the first, and then you see that we're integrating a whole bunch more of the Steam library. Again, taking our time to make sure that each one is tested well, but expanding the library. So as I said, the winner of the cloud gaming war, if they're going to call it a war, is the first thing going to have a large selection of games, or at least access to the Steam library. We've seen other systems do this already, so we're not alone in adopting Steam integration, but certainly it's a big important piece. A second piece will be access to the games, right? So this will mean having access. All the cloud gaming systems are talking about, now you can play in your living room, which through Chromecast you can do that with Walter as well. But being able to access your games no matter where you are on your mobile device, it's a big thing, because so much of the market that's not yet tapped for AAA gaming are people who have phones and have access to phones, but don't yet have access to the high-end gaming rig. So it's really one of the biggest draws of cloud gaming networks is that you can play on your phone now. So that's another part of it. But I would say some of the other things that the other systems aren't able to do and aren't even thinking of doing is having access, as the way we do with our network. It's having access through a URL, through any URL, right? Being able to embed your game inside of Discord, which is, of course, massive for a gaming community to have access to the games instantly through a Discord. If you're a game developer and you're trying to get your game adopted, if you're trying to find new players, dropping the game into a Discord channel and having people play immediately, as opposed to having them to need to download and install it, right? It's a much faster adoption loop. So I think when we talk about ease of access, it's not just about having the Walter site work at the Walter site, but also having the games also embed inside of all these other channels. The third piece I think that is going to win out the day is the technology. So, we talk about the other systems. They all have these data centers. They all run out these massive data centers, and that they're centralized. These data centers are having in the States, all kinds of pushback, right? Because they're massively disruptive to the local environments, to the local economy. There are zoning issues that immediately these big tech companies who come in with a lot of money, they can push around zoning boards and make carve-outs for themselves and be able to build where nobody else could build. Again, disrupting the water supply, jacking up the price of power in the local area. And all that to service games or to service AI. There's a couple different reasons why those data centers are being built, but that technology is disruptive, to say the least. So I think again, we keep our thesis is a better system is where all that compute is, instead of centralized into one building, it is decentralized across many computers, and therefore distributing the revenue, not having a draw of electricity all in one spot. Certainly not bothering the local water table. There's also that idea that part of the reasons why data centers are so expensive is because all that compute is happening into one small room, so it's a lot of heat being generated. Now they got to run AC units to cool all that down. Well, when you distribute that compute across the computers in many different homes, that heat is dissipated, so that you don't have that kind of massing amount of heat. And in some cases, it's maybe heat that's even welcome if it's happening, during the wintertime in your home. So anyways, that's part of the technology. But the other part of the technology that these other systems, these centralized systems, are going to fall apart on is the pipeline out of those buildings it can only allow so much data to pass so fast. And if the end user is too far away from that building, there's a latency issue. So the cloud gaming system that's going to win, one key element will be that the latency is always low, and the gamer's experience feels native to them every single time they play. So again, this is where our distributed network comes in it does a much better job at this, right? With a distributed network, you're finding we're finding with our orchestrator, the closest node, the closest operator to the player, and making that connection so the latency is like we've been doing 7 milliseconds, 8 millisecond latency on average for 45-minute play sessions. It's pretty spectacular what we were able to accomplish. All because, again, we're not trying to go through some data center and push out large distances from a building several countries away. We're doing it right from your neighbor's computer. Well, I say neighbor, but somewhere in the in the vicinity of you. The 7 millisecond for 45 minutes, that was going over 450 kilometers. So it wasn't like happening next door or anything like that. So that part of the technology is going to be part of the big part of the answer. The other part is for the players. What's the value for the player, right? If many of these systems, and I'm sure at some point, right now, Walter is free. By the way, that's kind of the big thing for us right now. During the alpha phase, you get in there and you play. We're not charging any subscription. When alpha ends, and I'm not even sure how long that'll take. It could take 3 months. It could take a month. But we'll likely grandfather in accounts as people join now. What we're going to like to do is be able to grandfather people in. So the reason to join now, get in there and get your account now, is when we start putting in subscription fees, and we should be much lower than everybody else. But there will have to be some level of fees, and there'll be a tiered system, I'm certain. But people who get in early enough will get grandfathered in, and some of those fees will be waived. But the value for the player has to be there, right? The players have to feel like, hey, I'm able to get in and play the game that I want to play. I don't have bad latency. It feels native to me, and I'm not waiting in line. Like one of the big knocks that GeForce Now is getting, and from what I understand, deservedly, is people are like, I'm queued up to be on a Friday night. I'm queued up to be number 500. So when a machine comes available after 499 people have left, then I can get in and play. That's unsat. Like the winner is not gonna have a system like that. The winner is going to be one that can scale correctly to the usage, right? On the days where it's not a lot of people playing, there are not a lot of cost for them. But then when there are a lot of people playing on a Friday night or Saturday night, the machines are ready and you jump right in and can start playing. With those data centers, again, they've got this massive amount of computers. They don't want to put in too many because on a Friday, on a Tuesday afternoon when no one's gaming, those machines are sitting idle and generating electricity and heat. But then on a Friday, there's a big surge, and they don't have enough machines to handle the surge. Whereas our system, again, is just going out and find the node closest by to the player. If there's a player wanting to play, the node's available. If the player's not wanting to play, that nano's not earning as much. So, and actually, that's part of the reason why the AI comes in board to help balance off those people who are in areas where there's not a lot of games being played, but we can give them other work, AI work and that kind of thing to keep those nanos busy. And I've got a question. Well, I got your question. I'm gonna address that too, but before we leave today. So, what did I say already? Selection of games. Ease of access, or the reach of those systems. The technology is going to have to be better. The structure for the player, the value for the player is going to be better. So that's four, do it that way. And the fifth is going to be the structure, the cost for the service itself. Right, the service itself can't operate and needing to have a massive budget, but basically needing to build a big building every time they want to expand, and having to bring a whole bunch more machines on board to upgrade. Or if when the next generation of GPUs come out, they take all the ones that were in the building and throw them away and buy new ones. I mean, that's a very expensive proposition. The centralized data center, and we're starting to see this now with the pullback. Investors are starting to realize that, wait a minute, these massive data centers, they're expensive to build, expensive to maintain, not easy to upgrade, and they're really not as profitable as we expected them to be. So there's a lot of you're seeing in the investment news a lot of pullback from these systems. So again, a better system is going to be one that has a low cost for the service itself. With the YOM technology that powers Walter, our capex, when we want to expand, it's really just a matter of selling more nanos out into a region and getting more people to buy and host nanos and earning the profits for themselves. So our expense for expansion is the marketing expense of getting more nanos out into the circulation. It's nothing near having to build a new data center. So that's going to be I think I would call those five. Now, I've listed five. There may be others, and I'm very curious if you're not watching this live and watching this on recording, if I didn't cover the thing that you're thinking in your head, like what else will be a characteristic of the winning cloud gaming system? If it's not selection of games, access, the better technology, the value for the player, and the cost for the service itself. If there's a sixth one, I want to hear it. But right now, I think those five are worth standing on. So let's go through real quick, like what Walter is. If you haven't been to the site yet, again, play for free. It's all you gotta do is click that button and you get, and then you can start playing Counter-Strike if you're close by to a nano that's operating right now. Again, I'll get to that in a second. So if you haven't seen the site yet, again, the guys who did the site just did a great job. I'm super impressed with it. We're calling this the play. So we're calling this early alpha right now. As we expand, we're going to be going into the phase we call the playground phase, which is, again, the beta home, where there's more. You'll be able to enter your account, give yourself a username, talk to other players. There'll be a system for getting rewards for having played more hours. Obviously, there's a lot that can happen when we're in the playground phase of things. Then the full platform will have even more expanded features, and there's a lot more that's going to happen there. A full FAQ section, please feel free to go ahead and ask that. I love some of these questions. How much does it cost? Will it lag? Again, you're not going to lag as long as you're close by to a nano. And if you're in an area where there's lag happening, go get yourself a computer and host a nano so you can make yourself some passive income. And again, sign up. The big important piece is you want to sign up early. Sign up early during our alpha phase, because we can grandfather you in as we start to get to some of those as you start putting up some of those paywalls. We've got you have your early access already in. Not saying there won't necessarily be some, but grandfathering people in is a big important piece for us. Part of the reason for the early adoption. But going back to the top, how it works, the blog. Obviously, we got some really great articles. I love seeing some of these articles come out. But the about section goes into deeper details about what it is that we're built, why Walter has launched off, and how it uses the YOM technology to get the job done in a much, in a much better way. But many of the things, right? So distance is the enemy. We keep on saying this over and over again. Latency there's a physical cap to how fast those data centers are going to be able to get the signal to the players if we're in the farther out regions. Latency is only going to get smashed when you have accessibility. When you write the what's the word I'm looking for? What's that word? I keep using it. There's value in proximity. There we go. There's value in proximity. So as we're able to put more and more nanos out into circulation in more of these regions, your proximity where that nano operator is living has value as along with the GPU they're running, those kinds of things. So again, we've laid out the whole plan, and then obviously the team. You've seen our faces before. You know who we are. We're on the live stream all the time. So check out the site. Start playing for free. If you've got, if I've missed one of the 6 features, if I missed the 6th feature that's going to allow a service to be the one that wins, let me know. But I think I feel like I've got a pretty comprehensive list there. I feel like it to my mind it rings true that those are the 5 things that are going to tell you who the winner is. Maybe deep pockets, maybe like a big pool of money, but I don't think a big pool of money helps. I don't think, because we've seen already, Google has a big pile of money and they close down Stadia. So these giants, these Goliaths can certainly be slain by David, without a doubt. And I feel like we're in Walter is in the David seat. All right, let me, one last thing before I get to the questions. On Friday, this Friday, we do a town hall on Wednesdays and on Fridays. Fridays at noon Eastern Standard Time, which is 6 p.m. out in Europe. Right now, it's about I think it's like 1 in the morning in Europe, where a lot of our audience is. So a lot of you are watching the stream, as a playback, which I appreciate. So Wednesdays, generally what we do is we cover the gaming industry, the cloud gaming industry, the database center stuff, or like what the technology is for YOM. On this Friday, we're going to be going over the technology for the past month, what the tech team has built. And we're going to be, and again, the nanos are all shipping out. The second batch of nanos are shipping out on Friday. And if we time this right, we're going to have like some live video of the nanos going out. It's going to be kind of awesome. That's kind of, fingers crossed, that's what we're planning. But there'll be a tech update on Friday. We're going to have the tech team kind of go through, this is what July meant for us. And it's going to be stuff like this, like Walter, the stream integration and the launching the different games and the expansion of the launching of the Walter site and the expansion that this is giving us. Again, this is very, I'm actually thinking about changing my sign a little bit too. Like maybe one of the nights will be a Walter night and one night will be a YOM night. I haven't secured exactly how it's going to happen, but it's on the table. So, anyways, tune in on Friday for that live stream. We'll talk about the nano shipping out and all the technology that we've accomplished. Let me get some of these questions. So, and actually, they all kind of come from we have one community member who's just very good at. Actually, you saw in the I'll bring those up in the timer video. Wally has been kicking out all kinds of Walter images, and God, super appreciative. Walter, one of the best things I thought we did with the Walter as a mascot was that he's so much fun to generate AI images of. But as we ship him off and we change, we do some work to make YOM stand out a little bit different, we have to leave him behind. But fortunately, he's going to live on with images like this. Let me bring that over here and zoom in. Yeah, postcard of Walter and Walter GG. That logo, I'm gonna tip my hat over to Yort, our CEO. He and I went back and forth on different Walter GG logos, and I think this final version was his, and just stellar. I mean, it's a great logo. So we gave Walter his blue glasses have been put down, and now he's wearing red sunglasses, and the shirt. The YOM logo goes away, and the Walter logo. Which honestly, I'm kind of a bigger fan of the Walter logo than as much as I like my little sign. I'm a big fan of the Walter logo. But thank you, Wally, for these images. Let me get some of the questions that Wally asked. So gaming, he asked like this. Gaming has a clear revenue model where compute is monetized through game streaming. Yep. As YOM expands into AI, will the business model follow the same pay per compute approach, or how will it be translated into value for the YOM token and the node operators? It is likely that we'll be using an hourly system, though this is not 100% structured for. I don't think a final decision has been made. I think we need to get some of the streams going up before we know, but it's likely to be an hourly kind of rate that we will charge the people who want to use our network to do their AI compute, and then again purchase the YOM tokens off the marketplace, the same as we do for the game developers who put their games on our network, and then translate that into send that revenue out to the node operators. That's generally how it's going to approach. Wally, if I didn't answer the question fully, just hit me up and I'll see if I can answer it more. But that's the general approach that we have in our heads right now. Again, this is going to be sussed out as we do more modeling of what the AI revenue stream should be. The next two questions, though, I'm going to artfully dodge. So, second question was: now that Walter is live, what's the biggest catalyst you expect over the next 3 months to drive sustainable demand for the YOM token and increase its value? And the second question was: with the first airdrop cliff ending in about 3 months, what is the team's strategy to ensure buy, sell demand from publishers and network usage can absorb the potential selling pressure? So basically, two questions about, hey, how do I know the token price is going to go up? And what are you doing to kind of ensure the token price goes up? Now, if you don't know, I'm in the States. And in the States, and a few other places too, I actually think Europe is pretty strict about this as well. I, as a spokesman for the project, were I to tell you, oh, Token's going to go to the moon, right? I face like serious legal jeopardy, which I'm not going to put myself into because honestly, there are many factors that could play into where the YOM token goes. But if you're familiar with our system, what we're saying is, as a network gets usage and as the user continues, every time the network gets used, we burn a small portion. So our burn mechanism is paid into usage, is tied to the usage of the network. It's not like hey, today we just feel like we're going to burn a whole bunch of tokens out of existence. It's not a really wise system. It's in some ways a manipulative, right? Ours is tied to the compute. So the more traffic the network gets, the more the tokens get taken out of circulation. But honestly, what we're really looking for is a lot of circulation of the token just in usage case, right? So more purchases, more payments to operators, more, and then again, expansions in that direction. So I'm not going to tell you that the demand is going to increase. What we're going to tell you is, we're signing these deals, and so pay attention to the deals that we sign and the partners that we're going to be talking about, the way that our network expands. That's the way to, use your own judgment. Does it sound good to you or not? Does it sound like it's going to make a big impact? Does it sound like it's going to have a small impact? Does it sound like the YOM thesis makes sense to you? Like you understand what cloud gaming is going to be, and what the 5 points that I talk about for the winner of the cloud gaming war, like do they make sense to you, and do they apply to YOM? Those are the kind of questions you want to ask yourself. And then the YOM token price, it may go one way or the other in your head. That's the way that I'm going to answer that question without telling you, yes, of course, the token's I'm not going to say any of those things because I'm not going to put myself into that kind of legal pitfall. Use your own judgment. I will actually use this moment to also say, if you're being reached out to someone who's representing themselves as a member of the YOM team, we don't DM first, right? If you want to contact us through our mods, then you go to Discord and open the ticket. That's the only way. The mods aren't going to send you a message and say, hey, your YOM tokens need to go to this wallet over here because XYZ reason. Like, let's be smart about this, folks. If you've been in the Web3 space long enough, you should know better. I'm hoping that you know better. You don't learn a hard lesson by losing a whole bunch of stuff. The focus tonight should have been, though, on walter.gg. Like, if you have not yet gone to the site, please, again, take a look at the site, get familiar with it, give us feedback on it. We'll always take feedback. Let us know what kind of things you're looking forward to, what features you think are going to be the most important features to the site. Is it going to be the expansion of games? Is it going to be the flow to your Steam account not as smooth as you want it to be? I think we all think there are optimizations that can be made there. But we've made some optimizations already, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself on Friday, but now the load time is cut down, what did they say, 60% faster than it was like 2 weeks ago or in the beginning of July. So we've done all kinds of optimizations to make these games load faster. Obviously, the testing of these new games is an important piece for where we're going with this next. But I don't want to get up too far ahead of the tech team to talk about what they want to talk about. I hope I did a good job. I don't see any other questions from the chats. Wednesdays are generally a shorter broadcast anyways, but Walter GG is up. Get in early. Enter your email address, get yourself an account, get notified to when we expand into the playground and get past this alpha phase into the beta phase. You want to be constantly aware of these kinds of things. Spread the word. The more people who join, means the more traffic the network's getting. And again, obviously, it's better for the whole ecosystem. And makes up some Walter AI images and put them out there, get them published and send them our way as well. We love to take a look at them. All right, I am going to end it there. Thank you so much for tuning in again. As I say every week, be good to yourself, be good to the people around you, drink lots of water, tell someone close by that you love them, and go out and see the stars at night and touch some grass, ground yourself, get your body's rhythm kind of connected to the earth. And we'll talk again on Friday with